Hey, everybody, welcome to Peak Shade. It's Monday. That means it's Mugshot Monday. I've got Keisha here. We are on the last
Hi.
episode of Love After Lockup Crime Story, Season 5, Episode 66, Cameron and Amber.
They have put the most random people together. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, what made them, like, who sat in like the meeting and said, you know what would work really well if we put Amber and Cameron's stories together?
Yeah, people are upset with the Amber because they're like, obviously she's not doing well. And this is not because, she looks a little overweight or whatever. People are like,
No, 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 no.
it's
You
because
could
she's
tell it's
I think it's alcohol related. I think, and it's rough too when they show like when she first came out of prison and how great she looked.
yeah.
Yeah. Wait, are you still there? Hold
Yes.
on, please. Hold on, please. Hold on. Okay, are you there?
Yeah. I never went anywhere.
Okay, well, here's what happened. I
Oh.
couldn't hear you because you connected to Anna's AirPods in the other room. Remember when I
Oh
used to have
boy.
a problem with John's
John.
AirPods connecting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I got
Mm-hmm.
it with Anna. Okay, let me just be sure here we're all clear. Yeah, guys, this is called working from
Working from
home.
home. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anna's got me into wearing AirPods all the time now, and then she just yells at me and is like, "Turn off your Bluetooth." I'm like, "Why do I have to turn off my Bluetooth?"
Oh, those girls.
All right, back to Amber. So
Mm-hmm.
people are a little concerned that because obviously I mean, she was like had such liver problems that her doctor recommended she terminate her pregnancy because she could die, the baby could die. Like,
Yeah. I mean, going back to the last season that she was on,
mm-hmm.
we saw that once she stopped being the manager at that restaurant, like when she was the manager at that restaurant, she was thriving. When
Yes.
she stopped doing that and decided she wanted to go into making t-shirts, it just went bad. And we saw how bad her drinking was. Like everywhere she went, she was some level of drunk. Remember
Yeah.
how fucking drunk she was at the gym when she was talking to Puppy? Like, what is going on? Like,
Gym.
what are you
At the
doing?
gym? I don't remember them being at the gym.
They didn't work out. There was
Oh.
no working out. I don't even think they had on workout clothes. It was just like, you know what? We need a new spot to shoot at.
I
Let's
think
just go to this local gym. She was bad.
yeah, and I think that in her mind, as long as she's not on meth, then she's all right because she had such a meth
And that's a
problem,
big mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, her liver, alcohol. Like, I think some of the swelling that we saw was from the alcohol abuse on top of the liver problem, you know? And
Yeah.
she sounded bad. Her voice was different. It just was not the same Amber at all. And
Yeah.
then now we know she got arrested for another DWI or
Yeah.
DUI
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
So
Amber,
she's
come on.
smiling.
We want better for
Yeah.
you. We
Yeah.
even though they had that whole scam going with that guy, whatever his name was,
But he
um,
was super gross. Like
he was yeah,
he was bad.
he
Yeah.
deserved to be scammed. But even though all that, that's the only thing we've ever seen her do
But
that's not
yeah.
been on the full up and up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She
Yeah.
really did use prison to better herself.
I mean, even when she was telling her crime story, I was still rooting for her. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
just like her. There's something about Amber and Puppy that everyone loved.
yeah. They were funny. They're good friends. They were like,
Yeah.
but I mean, we've never seen Amber without a man ever. Man to
No,
man to man to man to man. She goes from guy to guy to guy to guy to guy. We've never
that's
seen
not
her without a
good.
man, and that's not good.
That's not good.
Um,
Mm-mm.
and a lot of people speculate, about her sexuality, but I mean, she was with Puppy in prison, but then
Mm-hmm.
Puppy wanted to keep it going, and she's like, no. And so you don't know if she's got some sort of
Gay for
guilt,
stay. Is that what
gay
they
for
call it when
stay,
you're gay in prison? Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
gay for stay, or maybe she's at the very least she's bi and she doesn't want to like
Mm-hmm.
lean into it in the outside world, and maybe that's part of her struggle. I don't know.
I don't know, but
We
she's got to get herself together.
we just want the best for Amber.
We
We
do.
do. She's one of those people on the show that we're actually like rooting for.
We'd
Now,
really, really like. Yeah.
let's talk about somebody that you're probably rooting for, and that's Cameron.
Oh,
This
sausage lips.
this goofy motherfucker.
You know
I
what? He did good with the storytelling, though. He was not nearly as goofy as I thought he was going to be. I think he did well.
Okay.
Why did you look at me like that?
I just eye roll. He showed up on my screen with that grill. I was like,
That
man.
grill looks bad.
And he's
Yeah.
like, and he tries to make it like a statement, like he keeps his lips closed and he's like, and he shows it like he thinks
Yeah.
it's so cool. We've seen it. It's not brand new.
It does. It looks like he ate a Twix and like had all the stuff from the Twix on his teeth. That it looks really bad. I'm like, why would anyone choose to do that?
I
I
don't
don't get
know.
it.
I don't
But a
know.
lot of people do.
A lot of people do. He's trying to live that rap
Mhm.
life. Okay.
Mhm.
Excuse me. So let's start with Cam. So Cameron Morton, age 32. So they have all the words and the numbers blurred out on the clapboard. So I
Mhm.
couldn't see when it was filmed.
Right. Because we already know that he has another baby. So this had to be,
Yeah.
I think if I had to guess, this was a year after his season ended. Because
I
they showed
think
the baby and
I do think though when they first start filming these people, and I can't remember if they were on 1 or 2 seasons, but I
two.
think that they're getting all this B-roll on the person for, and they're probably doing it with people now that
Mhm.
so a year from now, if they need some filler, they
Yeah.
throw it together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we
Yeah.
have enough B-roll on whoever from last season. Who was that hot guy that was with that girl that looked like Wednesday Adams? They look
Oh, Bianca and Daniel.
yes. So they probably got a lot of
Mhm.
B-roll on Daniel. And they're probably
Okay.
gonna do his crime story, which is just drunk driving.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so I don't know when it was filmed. So it looks like they're in a hookah bar or a weed shop or something. I
Mhm.
can't tell where they're filming it, but he's wearing the stupid grill. Timeline, born in 91. 1991 is the year I graduated college.
Damn.
That's the year he was.
Shit. Sometimes like I don't feel like you're that much older, but then when you say stuff like that, I'm like, she's an old lady.
That's right. Old lady. If you could have seen, I just threw them away, but I've got these new under eye patches and I had them on until like right before you came on. I really think they worked. They're called like
I mean, you look good.
Strivectin something. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna put that in my
I've
Amazon
seen
shop.
that brand. Yeah, I've seen that
Yep.
brand before.
And it's you're supposed to do them 3 times a week. But I'm gonna do them every day because I like to go overboard and see what happens.
Yeah, me
Um,
too. I'm the same way.
okay, he's born in 1991. In 2005, he was dealing. In 2013, he had his first arrest. So he had a pretty good run.
He
He had a
did.
pretty
He
good
did.
run before he got arrested.
And he's
Um,
only been arrested twice.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's right. And he learned his lesson, I guess.
I think so.
In 2013 was his first arrest. Then he got out. And then 2016, he was arrested for trafficking. In 2016, he was trafficking. He did that for 2 years. In 2018, he got his second arrest. He was in prison from 2019 to 2022. So he says he grew up in Cincinnati. He says like the area of Cincinnati. And he says, we were like any other Black household in the projects. We were poor. My dad
Mm.
had a drug problem. She wasn't around. As I had a single mom raising 4 kids.
Here we go
And
again. Same story.
same story. They're hungry.
Yeah.
They're
Mm-hmm.
hungry. And he says, they ask him of like, what's like a great childhood memory? And he goes, I don't have any good childhood memory. I've been an adult since I was 5.
That's
That's
sad.
sad. That's very sad. And it could be the reason he's so like stunted and goofy,
Maybe. I mean,
you know?
I think we've heard so many stories, and it was the same thing with the single mom, always away at work. So there wasn't time or money to go out and do something fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
It was like go
we
to
used to go
school,
to the
get
ice
home.
capades,
Yeah.
and watch TV. Like, I mean, we went and did stuff all the time, but these kids, they didn't have that luxury at all.
And they don't have the money to like get on an after school soccer
Mm-mm.
team or
Yeah,
anything to keep them busy. And
right.
so you know what I think we should do? I think we should cut the Department of Education completely. I think that'll help, don't you?
That sounds like a grand idea.
I think that's what we'll do. Okay.
Uh huh. Yep.
So he goes back to the projects where he lived, and he's showing us where he lived. He's with his Uncle Tino, and he
Mhm.
talks about being young and being up on the balcony and watching Tino and his buddies working on the street, and it seemed enticing to him because he could see they're giving him like a tiny little product and
Right.
getting cash, and he's like, from where my view, that seemed like easy money.
Can you imagine growing up like that? Like you go out on your balcony and you're watching drug dealers like making drug deals.
And I guess it wasn't a dangerous area, I guess, because it was maybe because it was just weed, maybe it wasn't, I don't know,
Maybe
but there doesn't seem to be any violence around it like we've seen with other people, like they were
other
just
people.
fully
Yeah.
witnessing terrible violence when they were young.
Hmm.
But he said it seemed enticing to get money, so he started selling weed with Uncle Tino around age 14.
Mm.
And he said it was actual literal hunger, not
Yeah.
hunger for money, but hunger for food that
Right.
made him want to make this money to help provide for his family. Does he have 3
That
sisters? I'm trying
sounds.
to remember.
I think it's two or three sisters. We met two for sure.
Because
I
it
feel
says
like
there's
there was
4
another one.
kids, but I feel like there's no other there's no brothers. I think
He's
he was
the
the
only boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he says Tino and his crew showed him how to like stay cool, not be a hothead, because he would get a hothead and he would get all mad. They're like, you can't do that. You can't draw attention to
Right.
yourself. And he shows how the cops are there at the, which is just interestingly enough, there was like cops at the projects when they were filming. And I noticed it in the first scene. I was like, there's 2 cops back there. Maybe they're security for the building, but no, they were there to do
Right.
something. And he's pointing and he goes, you see those cops right there? They would be just like that. They'd be right here. And I'd run back in the building and they couldn't get me. And I'd be like, nah, nah. And I'd go to they couldn't get me because didn't have a key to get in. I
And
was
can
like,
you imagine how little he was back then? Can you imagine little Cameron? I mean, he's already a little guy to
yes.
begin with,
Yeah.
but 14-year-old Cameron being a drug dealer. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Like literally, I bet it looked like a 10-year-old out there selling drugs.
Yeah, and do you remember this just popped into my head. I do remember now at their wedding, they had a
Mhm.
life-size cutout of their dad.
The dad.
Was
So I don't know.
the mom at the wedding?
We only saw the mom one time. One small time. I don't think mom wanted to be on camera because remember
Probably.
we met like an aunt. We
Well,
met
remember
two aunts.
yeah, because he went to the aunt's house, and that's when he got all
Yeah.
drunk and jumped on the table. Yeah.
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 I don't think mom really was about being on camera.
Okay. But it's so interesting. He's talking about his dad not being around. It was a drug addict, but yet they brought the cutout to the dad to the wedding. So
Maybe he
maybe
maybe turned it around.
in later years, maybe. Yeah. So anyway, I said, he's goofy. He drives me crazy. So because I don't
It's
think
so
he's funny.
mean.
I know. So he would tell his mom he was at the Boys and Girls Club, but he was selling weed. He said, my mom thought until like 11th grade, every day after school, I was at the Boys and Girls Club. And that's really sad because the mom probably
Yeah.
thought, okay, he's not going to turn to this life like his Uncle Tino. He's going to do the right thing. He's going to the Boys and Girls Club every day.
And it also shows like it was crazy because I'm sure you were like this too. Whenever Skylar was involved in anything,
Yeah.
I was there. I'm like, oh, I'll be team mom. I'll do this. We'll do carpool. And he
Yeah.
didn't have that, again, the luxury of having a parent. She didn't even know where the fuck he was. She
No.
just took his word
Right.
that was where he was. She didn't go to go meet the people, see how he's doing or anything like that. It's
No.
really,
It's really sad.
it's sad.
And so he said, everything he was doing was minor. He was just selling
Mhm.
weed on his block. He never got into
Mhm.
harder drugs. There were never any guns. But then somebody showed him how to get into this check cashing scamming business. And so he would go take a check to the place where you could like cash your
Mhm.
paycheck, but they take a huge amount.
Right.
Listen, I did that back in the day when not
Me
the
too.
scamming part,
Not the
but
scamming part, just a regular part.
when I was in my 20s and I was like, oh my God, like I've got 3 bills to pay, or literally maybe they're going to cut off my phone. Like, so I
Yeah.
would go and cash my paycheck to get the money early,
Mm-hmm.
or say, like, you can see that next week I'm going to get the paycheck for this, but I need the money today because literally I've got to pay my car
Right.
note or whatever.
Yeah.
And they do take a huge percent, but you're like,
They do.
but I've got to,
You're like,
I don't
God
care.
damn, but you got to do it.
You got to do it because you need the money. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a good business for, people that like are desperate. And so
Yeah.
he says, it wasn't crazy amounts of money where he was using other people's checks or they made checks up or whatever. He didn't ever say where he got the checks.
No, he didn't.
But it was $900,
Destiny.
$1,500. So
You got them from
Destiny was
Destiny.
like she scraped them off and
Yeah.
pasted
Here
it
you
down.
go.
And he goes, you can make up to $8,000 in a day. He said, I did this maybe 3
Shit.
times, like 15 checks, right? I didn't do it a lot. But then I was realizing like the check cashing services are taking a big percent. So I decided to go to the bank and do it because they wouldn't take any percent. So he would go and he would sweet talk the ladies, and he got on a list for Crime Stoppers. He said it's like America's Most Wanted, but for the city.
Right.
And he was like, well, shit, because it was, bank fraud. So he said there was an active warrant for his arrest, but he just laid low on the situation. And it was coming up for him to renew his driver's license, but he didn't renew it because there was a warrant out for him.
Right.
So he was no chance of getting stopped by the cops or anything. And they weren't like actively looking for him. So after about a month, he turned himself in because he wanted to get a real job. And he couldn't get a real job without an ID, much less with a warrant out for his arrest. He doesn't say what the real job is, though.
No, I mean, all I heard him say was he was working for temp agencies.
Yeah.
But I guess with a temp agency, sometimes they'll say, well, hey, these people want to have you on as a regular employee. And he wasn't able to do it.
Yeah.
Because of that?
Yeah, because of that.
Yeah.
So he said he got 366 days suspended sentence and probation. So he got out and decided he would elevate the situation. So he was living in California to get closer to the music scene. And of course, California is very expensive. So he had to move to Vegas, where it's not as expensive. So what he would do was he would get his weed in California. And then, like if you buy it for $5, you could sell it for $15 in Vegas, but you could sell it for $250 in Cincinnati, like a lot more. Because Cincinnati, Ohio, being in the middle of the country, don't have much access to weed. So he decided, how am I going to drive every week? No. How am I going to do it? Well, I can mail it, but then they start looking through the packages. So I'm just going to fly with it. He said, he thought, okay, how am I going to do this? But they packaged it and it went through the x-ray. Easy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I started thinking about the movie Blow with Johnny Depp, how they did it, but they did it with like, his girlfriend was like a stewardess and they did the same thing.
Yeah. And a lot of people
don't do that shit so many times.
They put it in baby diapers. A lot
like a
of
dirty
people,
one?
Or they'll have it like wrapped up like it's a dirty one. But a lot of times they will put in plastic bags. This is like, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Like
it sounds like you do though.
They wrap the drugs in a plastic bag and put it in the lining of the baby diaper that the baby's wearing. So even if the baby does pee or poop on it, you're still getting it out and it's in a plastic bag. Yeah.
Look, I tell you what, I forgot I had half an edible when we were flying from Las Vegas to Houston. And when I was like, oh my God, I had a fucking panic attack at the airport and threw it out. Clearly I was okay.
You had a half an edible like in your purse.
Yes. And when I remembered it, I was like, oh my God. And like immediately threw it away in the trash can there. Clearly I wasn't going to get stopped.
No, not for half an edible. I don't know. It was like half a gummy.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think people like this lady's got like a half a cough drop in her purse.
Well, they had a drug. They had the drug dog there.
Oh, panic.
Yeah, I don't think he would have been. He would have, bitch, you all right. You're not what we're looking for. Carry on.
Just eat it
and get on the damn plane. Yeah, take it and get on the damn plane.
Oh my God. So they started packaging it and it went through the x-ray. So they started doing it California to Vegas to Philly to Cincinnati to New Orleans, like all over.
Wow.
So in 2018, he was on his way to stopping it because his music was picking up. And he was like,
I don't believe that.
I don't either.
I don't think the music was picking up.
And he just thought, well, I'll go out with a bang. And he says, everybody was getting caught but him. And so he just thought, nothing could touch me. I'll go out with like a big thing. So he had 30 pounds of pot.
That's a lot.
So what else is in that suitcase to make it stay under the 50? What else is in it? What else? What 20 pounds of filler did you stuff around it?
Maybe. I don't
Stupid.
know. Yep. That's a
So
lot.
so he tells us about his arrest at the airport, right? So the bags are coming and they're taking a very long time to come. So in
Mm-hmm.
his mind, he's like, so I should just not get the bags and I should
Right.
leave. But they've already got my name. That's what he should have done.
Yes.
But then
Without
he
a doubt.
but then he says, so maybe I'll just get one bag. But then when they came out, the bags were together. And he was like, that was
Mm-hmm.
suspicious because the bag, obviously, like when we're traveling, it's not like Dave's
Right.
bag, Anna's bag, my bag. They come out 10
Yeah.
minutes apart.
Yep.
So then he thinks, well, maybe if I leave, they're going to get me anyway. So he looks around and he sees that there's 4 cops on the 4 corners of where he could leave. So he gets the one bag
Right.
and he just do. He literally, when he realized the bags were taking a long time, should have walked his ass out of that
Yes.
airport.
Immediately. He should have stopped at the Chick-fil-A at the airport, got him a meal, and just left.
Kept on going.
Yeah.
So we see him take off running. He talks about the cop, and the joke about,
And we see
oh,
it
yeah, we
too.
see it. And he's
Yeah.
talking to the cop. He shit talking to the cop, whatever. He talks about the cop tasing him and he talks about like going down and all that.
Yeah.
He was convicted of trafficking and possession. It was 30 pounds of pot, which in 2018 was worth $40,000. I would imagine in today's money, I didn't look it up, that would probably be $55,000. So that's
Mhm.
probably the reason in his mind, he's like, well, I can't leave it.
Right. It's a lot of money.
But he was just working with a weed dealer in California. As
Yeah.
far as we know, this was not like a cartel thing where he's going to get in
Yeah.
trouble if he loses it.
Right.
He should, when he noticed it was taking longer, he should have walked his ass out of the airport, literally gotten a legit job. Now, they already had him on camera checking those bags in.
Yeah. So because he said
He could have
they
just
already
said, I didn't know what was
warned.
in it. Yeah.
That's what I would have done. I'm like, okay, would it if they had just picked him up without the bags, because he did have a warrant, I wonder if he would have gotten the same charges. I don't feel like he would have.
He didn't have a warrant.
I thought he said they had a warrant on me either way.
Meaning, because it took so long to get those bags, everybody's waiting for the bags, meaning a dog had sniffed it
Mm-hmm.
and they had figured out who it was checked to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I don't think in that 45 minutes to an hour that you're waiting for your bag, they have a time to get in touch with the judge, get a warrant.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? They probably could just
See, I
arrest
thought
him in
they
the
were kind
airport.
of already on the radar.
He was already on the radar.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
still
not.
should have just left.
He should have just left. I guess not, because he said everybody was getting arrested but him. Or maybe people were squealing on him. So
Probably so.
he did 30 months, which is
A little bit
2.5 years.
Yeah.
In a federal prison. Which, of course, I'm like, federal prison's not supposed to be so bad because it's federal. It's
I've
better.
heard that it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to a prison, you want to go to a federal prison. I don't want to go to any prison.
No, me either.
Me neither. I'm not. I would never make it.
But federal prison, generally, people are in there doing things like drug trafficking or white collar crimes, or
I think Martha Stewart when I think about
Teresa Giudice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jen Shaw.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Holmes.
Who's looking good in prison.
Well, yeah. If I was in prison, I'd be jacked.
She looks pretty jacked. I saw some pictures like 2 weeks ago. I was like, God damn.
Now my face would be
good.
My face would be jacked, and my hair would be jacked.
Her face looks pretty good. Her face actually looked better because she isn't getting all those fillers and lip plumpers like every week she was on the outside. She looked really good.
My face would have to go back to its natural state, and I don't know what that would look like. So all right, so he says when he was in prison, it was like the outside world did not exist. He had to only worry about the inside, which could be life or death, especially somebody like him with a smart mouth.
Small.
On him,
and he's so little too.
But he doesn't say anything about like how he started talking to Eris or anything.
Well, because they already told us.
I know, but I forgot. And I'd like to have known.
I did
How
too.
How did he start talking to her?
Prison pen pal popped up on her TikTok. For you
No,
page.
no. I feel like they were together before briefly, and then he got arrested. I feel like they were like dating a little bit before. She knew him before.
I think you're right. I think you're
Mhm.
right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in 2022, he was released, and he says, "I've only been home 16 months." Well, now it's
Okay.
2025, so that's not
Yeah.
correct. They could just
Mm-hmm.
edit that. Um, he was released in 2022. This is obviously filmed sometime in 2023, perhaps. And he says he's on federal parole until 2025, which is now.
Oh, which is now.
Which is
Yeah.
now. And he said it's been a big adjustment. His biggest adjustment from being out of prison was not being able to smoke weed. But when
Mm-hmm.
we saw him smoking weed when he was first out, because he was in the studio, remember, he was smoking weed in there. Don't we remember that?
Hmm.
Do you
I
remember
remember
that?
seeing him smoking, but I didn't know that it was weed.
I don't want to accuse him of anything. So he says, he gets paid for streams of his music, but he needs other avenues of money. Obviously, that can't support him. So then we see this whole stupid scene with Uncle Tino and like a
Yeah. Truck
enterprise
driving.
truck saying you could make money, you can have your own trucking company, make your own hours. But this is all in Cincinnati, and Cameron lives in Florida. So
Yeah.
what?
In
This is
Florida.
stupid. This is stupid.
Yeah.
But I would like to know Tino's story. Like, did Tino have to,
Yeah.
did Tino have to go to jail, and now he's on the straight and narrow? Like, I'd like to know.
Did he get any child endangerment charges against him for having a child sell drugs for him? I mean, yeah, I think Tino should write a book
Yeah,
and let us know what's really up.
because Cam did tell this whole story. That was Amber that tells the whole story. When she was so young, she would always tell them to give the drugs to her because she was so young she
Yes.
couldn't get in trouble. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that was Cameron. That was Amber. So Tino's like, yeah, you got to find a way to make money the legit way. You got kids now and a wife, and now we see
Yeah.
the baby daughter Charlie. Cam and Tino have a moment. Now we know Cameron lives in Florida. Final card: Cameron lives in Florida with his wife Eris and their children. He's on parole until 2025. I wish they
So
would have
he
said
should be getting off.
until August of 2025, December, so we would know.
It's just at any point this year he'll be off. Well, I follow him on Instagram, so I'm sure he'll announce when he's free.
You and I talked recently about how we don't enjoy
Mm-hmm.
him on Instagram calling his children baby killer, baby thug, and
And he'll
saying
have
he
like
want
red bandanas on them and things like that. Real fucking immature.
and saying he wants to slap his kids because they're annoying, and none of it is funny to me.
He thinks it's just hilarious, but I'm like, the wrong person is gonna see that shit, and they didn't watch you on LALU to know how fucking ridiculous you really are, and they're gonna call CPS. Like,
Yeah.
this man is claiming he's gonna slap the hell out of his kid, and I think he's teaching his kids how to sell drugs at an early age and be gang members and things like that. So, yeah, he needs to chill.
Yeah, I'd like to know how Eris feels about that.
I can imagine she doesn't like it.
Because she's got a real job and she's got that sweet daughter. What was that daughter's name? Can you remember?
Lena.
She was so cute.
And mature.
Very well. We see a lot of these kids on these shows are like super mature.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on to Amber, 39 years old, Amber Eggers. All right.
I'm sorry. This was a jump scare for me.
When they first showed her?
Because in my head, I'm thinking about how she looked on her last season, which on her last season, she didn't look her best because there was a lot of drinking going on.
Right.
But this was shocking. She aged by like 10 years, it looked like. She just did not look, she didn't look good. She didn't look healthy.
I know. Her mom is real fucking weird. Real fucking weird. Real weird. All right. So she's in a strip club, which I think she was never a stripper. So why did they have her in a strip club?
I don't know.
That's where she did a lot of drug dealing, but she wasn't like, she's not a stripper. So she's in the strip club. She has laryngitis, and this is where we're going to talk to her. She grew up in Michigan. She moved to Georgia when she was 13 with her mom and her grandparents. And you think her grandparents are watching this? Like, I didn't know so much shit was going on out of my house. Good grief, ladies.
Yeah, it was. They again, I don't think it was someone that was like exactly watching what she was doing. Because her mom was around too, but like in and out.
So she was born in 1985. Um, Started using drugs in 99, got arrested in 2000. And between 2000 and 2010, between her first arrest in 2010, she got her first felony. So she had a good 10-year run there.
Mm-hmm.
She did. 2012, she got released. And then 2013 is when she went back in for drug trafficking. So she's with her mom, Monica, and they're looking at the childhood home. Now, Monica lived there as a teenager with her parents, and then Amber was
Mm-hmm.
her child because she had her at 17.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Amber says, my mom wasn't around a lot. My mom, Monica, had been on drugs my whole life. I felt unloved by my mother. She wasn't a mother figure to me. She knows this.
Yeah.
Um, Monica had her at 17. She obviously wasn't ready to be a mom. We see, pictures of
Right.
them. And mom is like, oh, yeah, I sold drugs. I did drugs out of the house, out of the grandmother's house. And she goes, and then I switched to hot rails. It's like you heat up a glass pipe, the crystal meth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was a big mistake.
She's one of those people that smiles no matter what she's talking about. Like, I don't know if that's a nervous habit or what, but she literally was smiling, showing all her teeth, no matter what subject she was talking about.
It's upsetting because she's talking about some real serious, terrible shit and what a horrible mother she was.
And this is her only kid.
And just smile, 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 smile.
I don't think you've met people like that before, right? They just do that smile no matter what they're talking about. And you're like, you're fucking weird. But that's just like, I don't think they realize they're doing it.
We had a dad on 90 Day Fiance, and I can't remember the girl's name, but she was dating a guy that was like in not Egypt, but in a Muslim country. And his name was Hassan. And she was a beautiful black girl with a big curvy figure and did a lot of like ass stuff on Instagram. And she had braces.
Okay.
And she was moving to whatever Middle Eastern country it was to be with this guy. And her dad comes over and he's like, I don't know why you're doing this. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You're going to get over there and women are not treated the same. And we started calling it smile talking because he's smiling and he's talking, but he's saying terrible things while he's smiling.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because they're in front of the camera or what it is, but I don't honestly feel like they realize that they're even smiling. Because why would you smile while you're talking about that? That's fucking weird.
And I don't know if it's like a nervous thing.
I think it is.
It's weird. It was very weird with Monica. Very weird.
Because she smiled a lot. Because she talked a lot too. She was acting like it was her crime story.
She sure was. She sure was. So at 13, she's telling this to her mom. She started doing cocaine, and she was doing it more and more frequently because she was hanging out with these older kids. And her mom's like, I didn't even know you were doing cocaine when you were 13. Crazy.
She didn't even say she started off with weed. Like, she went straight to cocaine at 13.
Nuts.
That's nuts.
She said at 11, she got it at a sleepover party.
Who the fuck? What? See, that is why you need to know who when you're dropping off your kids, who you're dropping them off with.
Well, Monica didn't care. She was dealing hot rails out of her basement.
Yeah, that's very true. You are
Monica didn't give a shit. She's like, give me your cocaine dealer. Who cares?
You are so correct.
She says, and also mom's like, I didn't think you were doing that because you were in drama club.
like Cameron was at the Boys and Girls Club.
Right.
Yeah.
You could be in drama club, but you could get some real good drugs in drama club.
Right.
So she says she was just running the streets and doing whatever she wanted to do. She was, sorry, I had to yawn. She was doing drugs and selling drugs and going to bars. She's 13.
I would be so scared. Like, I was scared to like turn in my homework late. Like, I didn't because that would be like, my life is going to end if I turn my homework in and I get a bad grade or my mom finds out. And these people are out not just using drugs, they're fucking selling drugs while they're in junior high or their freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And Amber talks about taking her mom's ID because they look alike. Now, her mom is 17 years older, so she's got a 30-year-old's ID and she's 13.
Her mom does look young, though.
She does.
Her mom's young looking.
Right, but still, if somebody looked at the ID, they would look at Amber and be like, girl, you're not 30. Now, come on now. You're 13.
Look, it looked like she was going to a bar that was also a strip club as well. They didn't fucking care.
Um, and her mom says, yeah, one day I was at the bar, looked over, there's Amber. I was like, hey, girl, what's up? I was like,
How do you not drag her out of the bar?
what?
Like, that's crazy.
And so Amber goes, I didn't care. All I wanted was a plug. A plug is a person who has a large quantity of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
But a plug to me means something that stops, not something that flows. But whatever, it means
Mm-hmm.
something. And then she started on crank. Crank
Mm-hmm.
is the most potent form of crystal meth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an everyday thing at that point now. She loved to hang out at the strip club so she could sell to the guys there because they were rich guys at the strip club. So mom tells the story of the time Amber dropped off a bag of Red Rock for her. And she was like, where'd you get that? Cool. This is some form of
It's
crystal
just,
meth. So
just
mom and Amber started getting
stuff
high
like that.
together. That was just
I
normal.
can't. Like, me and my mom don't even party together.
Yeah.
That would be so weird. We do family events together. We do not go clubbing or like we'll do a brunch together or lunch together or dinner, but she's not hanging out with me, hanging out with my friends.
No, that's weird. I mean, my mom and I, because if it's 4:59 in Mississippi, you're going to have a glass of Chardonnay in your hand when 5 o'clock hits. So
And if you're traveling, she's going to have it in her Wendy's cup.
if you're traveling and it gets to be
Mm-hmm.
4:58, she's got to start preparing in the back seat
Mm-hmm.
for her hot car Chardonnay. So
Yes.
um, Amber says, I knew when I was little that my mom was like in this room doing drugs, and I knew that was bad, and I know it kept
Right.
her away from me. I knew it hurt me, and I knew it was wrong. So I don't know why I would then do the same thing.
Do the same thing. Yeah.
And mom goes, I'm so sorry I was a bad mom.
But I was a happy mom. Look
And
at me smiling.
Amber goes, well, we weren't like mother daughter. We were more like sisters. We grew up together. And mom's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's right. And mom says, listen, I just thought if Amber was at home getting high with me, at least she wasn't in the streets. No, you didn't. You didn't think that. You didn't think anything. You thought Amber,
Well,
your
but
child, is your drug dealer.
but she could also be at home doing the drugs and have a fucking overdose. Like,
She could also be practicing her lines for that play she's got to be in next weekend. What are you talking about?
something. And I just thought about it. Her mom is literally that smiling face emoji, the one like this.
Yeah.
She's that emoji. Yeah.
Okay, ready? Let's do it together. Okay, ready, go.
You guys have to be watching this on YouTube.
You
So
got to
you
be
can
watching
see
it on
this.
YouTube so you can
Yes.
see how funny
Yeah.
we are.
Yep.
Oh, it's so funny. Okay. So, all right. So now she says okay, wait, I lost my spot. Mom says, at least Amber wasn't in the streets. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She says, but now I know I was probably just making her problems worse.
You think?
Yeah, you think? So Amber tells about her first arrest in 2000. She was only 14. She had all the drugs of everybody in the car. She had them on her. She put them all
Mm-hmm.
down in her bra. She knows where to, I think it's because she's got such big boobs.
Big
She was
boobs. Yeah.
under, around, and then the cops, when they pat her down, like she's 14.
I can't do all that.
I can't do
Yeah.
all that. So she had all the drugs from the car on her. She went to the police station. Her grandmother came to get her. I'd like to hear from grandma. Grandma's probably not still with us, but I'd like to know.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Or she's just like wants nothing to do with this at all. But I mean, she got away with having all those drugs on her because they did not search her.
Yeah, 'cause she's 14.
I know.
So her grandmother picked her up, didn't ask any questions, and it didn't deter her, and it just got worse. So now she's with this guy in the car, Hank, who's real cute.
Very cute. She keeps a pretty good looking boyfriend.
I don't understand. Listen, she always has a cute boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think she always has these men around and she's always finding these boyfriends because she's trying to like deny her sexuality. And I'm like, I just think she likes to have a lot of sex or something. And that's why these guys are like, all right.
I don't think she's trying to deny her sexuality, because if that were the case, they would have kept the whole her and puppy, being a couple kind of quiet.
Maybe.
So I don't know. But I do pick up vibes that she likes women as well.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because I don't know, maybe all these boyfriends she gets, they're also drunks. So they're like, okay, well yeah.
They all look like they hang out at the bar. If you think about all the boyfriends that we've seen, they all look like she met them at a bar.
Yeah, I mean, she
They've
had that
got that look
one
about them.
that boyfriend she had on the last one where she was pregnant and all that.
Yeah.
That was such a sad story, but he was like, "I can't deal with the drinking anymore." Like, he couldn't deal with her drinking anymore.
And the way she acted, like when she was, I mean, she was drunk that whole entire season.
Oh,
It
it's
was
terrible.
bad.
All right, so now she's with, Hank, her new boyfriend, who was also her high school boyfriend, and so she's like, "All right, I'm gonna take you over here to this place. I'm gonna tell you the whole story." He's like, "All right." So she
Hmm.
tells the story about being with this guy, Russell. And so they go to this like trailer that seems like it's like a lot for Mack trucks or
Truckers, yeah.
cement trucks
Hmm.
or whatever. And Russell goes in to the trailer and she kind of hides and she hears gunshots and she hears Russell scream. She hears this guy
Right.
yelling. So she calls her mom's like, "You got to come get me right now." She said, "My mom was here in like 7 minutes." And as they were leaving, they see like 50 cop cars.
Damn.
And Russell showed up to her house later. So obviously he wasn't shot.
Right.
And he had a warrant out for his arrest for this whole thing. And he got put in jail because he
Right.
was in trouble for stealing from this guy. So she says when he came to her house that time, she refused to talk to him, like leave.
Hmm.
Then he got put in jail and she refused to take his calls. She didn't want anything to do with
Right.
him. She didn't want to get in trouble. And so eventually, to get a lesser sentence, he turned her in and said she did the burglary.
Yep.
So in 2010, she got locked up for burglary, not because she did it, because she knew about it and didn't report it.
Right. That's fucked up.
She was locked up for 2 years
I
for
know.
that.
Hmm.
You guys, if you ever hear about a burglary, tell about it right away.
And here we go. According to states, if this had happened where a camera was from, she would have spent the day in jail and would have been done and
Right.
got like 2 days probation. So
That's right. She's in Georgia. Maybe Georgia's more
mhm,
serious. So, because that's where Louis got arrested, was Georgia.
that's right. Hmm.
So she stayed, after that, she stayed sober for a year and she felt
Hmm.
great. Every day was great, but she had no money. So
Right.
to get money, she had to start selling drugs. And when she was selling drugs, then she started getting high again.
And how old is she at this point? 17?
So that's 2013. And she was born, hold on, please. She was born in 1985 and now it's 2013. So 15 plus 13, 6, 7, 8. She's 28.
Okay. So she started trafficking later
Mhm.
in life.
Now
Okay.
she's 28. So, okay. So now, okay. So in 2013, her Mexican cartel guy, Izzy, that guy, her Mexican cartel guy, what?
Hmm.
We're just going to casually. Also, is she supposed to be talking about this? Is she going to get killed? Like,
Maybe all those cartel members are already dead. So she doesn't
mhm,
have to worry about it anymore. Or maybe they are in prison. Maybe Izzy was not the real name. That's a fake
right.
name.
Could be.
I mean, it would be a fake name if I were talking about it. No, I just wouldn't talk about it.
I
Like I'm
wouldn't
not
even,
taking
I
anything.
wouldn't even say Mexican cartel. I would be like
No.
my dealer. I'd say my dealer in Mexico.
Yeah, I agree with you
I wouldn't
100%
use the word
because that
cartel at
is,
all.
yeah, that is quite scary. And it's so funny because when you were talking about Cameron, you're like, he didn't say a cartel, he just said a guy. Well, she's doing like heavy drugs, not just weed,
Right. That's true.
like
Because he was
big
just weed.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, in 2013, her Mexican cartel guy, Izzy, it's like she's saying, like, the guy that does my hair, Fred.
I know, right?
She's
What?
like, my
Yeah.
Mexican cartel guy, Izzy, um, got me to help him start trafficking. So
Hmm.
I would be driving from Atlanta to Indiana. And then he was like, you should just stay in Atlanta and have other people run the drugs. Like, why are you having to do it? And she's like, okay. So she's moving up in the chain. A DEA who has nothing to do with this, but did tell us there are 7 major cartels operating in Atlanta. Whoa.
Okay. Wow. Who would have thunk?
Who would have thought? And I guess it's because it's southern, so you can get to the border pretty quick. And
Hmm.
also, it is a huge city. So, I mean,
Yeah.
why would we think not Atlanta if like
Right.
New York City? It's a huge city. So her mom started working for her as her assistant.
Of course.
Her mom would book the rooms. Her mom would, get everything ready, get the scales out and everything ready for her.
Right.
Her mom was just a executive assistant to Amber.
And she goes, that was the best money I've ever made.
I bet. Yeah. And
I
she
bet
could
too.
get high on her own supply.
That's right.
So they would go to these hotels. She would book 3 rooms, one for her to
Mhm,
sleep in, one for them to deal out of, and then one for people to come and party. So she explained
mhm,
how they would go in these rooms, lay all the drugs out on the bed, put the scale over here. Somebody would come in and take their one bag that they're supposed to get over there so they
mhm.
could weigh it, and they'd leave the money tucked underneath the sheets. Now, I guess, um, and then also they would leave the door like cracked, but be across the
Right.
hall so the person could come in and out of the hotel without a key. I guess if the
Yeah.
person didn't leave the right amount of money under the
I
thing, then
know.
then then they're dead. I don't know.
Yeah, because I was like, they could totally fuck someone over. I hope they put the do not disturb sign so housekeeping didn't come in and try to make the bed.
Right.
Like to me, that was really like risky. Like
Yeah.
there's a high chance of getting fucked over here.
And they said it was risky. They said it was
Hmm.
risky. And so she and her mom like go through the whole process out there. And mom again's like, oh my God. So we had the scales over here, and then we would weigh the dope and the money would go here. Oh yeah, it was like an operation. I was like, mom's like Tupperware sometimes. But I was like,
Her mom was taking those acting classes with her at the high school. Like when Amber didn't show up, don't worry, her mom Monica was there to take her place.
just
So
about the same age. So
yeah,
so then they would sell the dope, and then somehow they had to get the money to Mexico, and they could only do it
right.
$1,000 at a time. So she would
That's
send it,
crazy.
I guess 1,000. I guess it's like 9.99 before it gets flagged or something.
I Yeah, I thought that was really weird. I'm like, I would have liked more of an explanation of why, but they didn't
She
have
would
time for that.
So she would have to send different people to different places to do these like Western
Yeah.
Unions or whatever. I'm like, you need a Marty Bird from Ozark to launder your money.
And my thing is like, she had to have all these people do that. That's You're losing more money because you got to pay these people to do it.
Yeah. You got to pay them a 5% fee or whatever, or maybe she's paying them
Mm-hmm.
in drugs. So they go back to the now it's funny when they're showing this whole process of how they did this, they looked like they were in like a decent hotel.
Yeah, and then it switched over.
And then when they show where they got busted, it definitely was a motel.
It was a motel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So,
how did we go from this to this?
well, I don't know. So they go back to this room where they got busted in 2013. They tell the story. They do a reenactment.
Yes, they
And
do.
mom got real excited. This was her Oscar winning moment.
Because Amber would just sit in a chair telling it.
I think Amber is having a hard time being upright, is what I think.
I think so too. And I'm like, is
I
it
think
because
she's
she's
very
drunk?
I think she's just so unhealthy.
Because I have seen people that have had liver issues,
Yeah.
including my grandmother who had liver cancer, and you are swollen.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
stomach is swollen. So
Yeah.
I think that's where between the alcohol and the liver disease, she can't help but to look like that, which is sad.
It's interesting because somebody on that Love After Lockup Facebook page that we
We're half
watch,
scared of.
we're scared
Yeah.
of, they
Mhm.
said a girl was in there and said that she recognizes what Amber looks like because she had that exact same issue. She had to quit
Mm.
drinking, and I know this from my cousin who had a liver transplant. You have to be sober and in a program for at least 6 months before they will put you on a transplant list, which could then be 5 years. But to even
Mhm.
get on a transplant list, you have to prove you've done all these steps to be 6 months sober. You have to go on a Mediterranean diet. My cousin
Oh
had
damn.
had to have every single tooth pulled because he had gingivitis and all these things from all these years of like smoking and drinking,
Oh
and it had so
shit.
much like bacteria in his mouth that he was a risk for transplant because of the bacteria. So he had to do all these things to even be considered. And by the way, same thing, very bloated in the stomach.
Swollen.
By the
Yeah.
way, he had a liver transplant. He's doing great.
Yeah. So we know she's not taking any of the steps to do
Mm-mm.
that
She's
because
smoking, and you're not allowed,
and then she just got pulled over.
and you're not allowed to smoke at all when you're waiting for this transplant. I mean, you have to prove how much you want it to be because there's other people that could, like your grandmother,
Yeah.
have liver cancer and deserve a liver transplant before this
Right.
person who's abused their body for so many years. So you have to
Yeah.
prove that you could be, a candidate.
I think she probably has just said, fuck it. Like, I don't
I
have a
do too.
husband. I don't have kids. So
I don't really care about Hank.
I don't really care. Yeah. So, like, fuck it. I'm just going to go out how I want to, which is
I,
sad.
I think so too, and it's very sad. It's very
Yeah.
sad. So Reenactment happens, and they're like, "Why are you locking us up?" Because they did not have any drugs on them at all. Um, where were the drugs?
They dumped it in like the restroom of the motel. Like
Right, but
not in the motel room, but like the main,
I feel like,
like
but did they dump the drugs there, or did they, is their
they dumped
paraphernalia,
the drugs there.
the scales and stuff? They said they put it all in the like the ladies' room.
Oh, I thought they said drugs. It is
Maybe they did.
amazing how sometimes we watch the same exact show and
Mhm.
hear totally different things.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
almost like a talent that we have.
And they find out that Rodney, who had told to meet there, Rodney had ratted her out. Rodney had gotten busted and he had ratted her out. So she says,
Man.
you know, when you're in this business, it's always a possibility a friend will sell you out and
Yeah.
send you to prison.
Yep.
But
It's happened to her twice.
more than likely, they're trying to get Amber and her mom to get to
To the bigger person.
the cartel. She
Yeah.
doesn't she doesn't tell us if she ratted those cartel out, but it doesn't seem like she did because she's in prison for a long time.
Would you rat out the cartel?
No, 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 no.
No. Nope.
Mr. Cartel, if you're listening to me, I would never do that.
We will just do the time. We will do the time
Mhm.
happily. We will do the time smiling like Amber's mom the whole time.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's great.
So now they know that they went to jail on September 11th of 2015, and we go and they're sitting outside the jail like on a little bench looking at it. They both got a 30-year charge, and she pled out to 30 but do 10. But if you get out early for good behavior, then you got to stay on parole until your 10 is done. The rest is probation. So she will be on probation until she's 60. So she got arrested when she was 30. Her mom got a straight 10-year sentence and did not have to be on parole or probation. Again, we'd never know the difference. So one of these days I'm going to print it out. I'm just going to stick it on my bulletin board right here so that, because I don't know how many years we've been saying we don't know the difference. And people have told us and we still haven't retained it.
Well, it's because we have such an important job. And when we get done with this, we got to go to the stuff for the next show. And like we're all about what's going on with that show, the facts, and we can't help it.
Yeah, stay tuned to the end, guys, because we've got an announcement also. All right, so we do.
I don't even know what the announcement is.
Yes, you do.
Do I know what the announcement is?
Yes, you do. We'll talk about it in 5 minutes when this is over. All right. So, her mom got a straight 10-year sentence. They got to stay together the whole time in prison. And I wonder if they did that because they were hoping that eventually if they stayed together, they would lead them to the bigger person. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe, but I'm either way, I'm glad they got to stay together. Because I mean, at least that makes like when it's the holidays, that's a little bit better. You're with a family member and things like that, but
and they got very close to Puppy, who became like another child or best friend, whichever way you want to look at it. Amber says, in prison, my mother turned into an entirely new person. She became the mother she should have been. She wasn't on drugs anymore. And they both say they made the best of a bad situation and tried to better themselves. Now, I assume they were in federal prison because they were running drugs over state lines.
But
it looked like a county jail, but it had to have been federal.
No, it did not look like a prison where we saw them at.
Yeah, it looked like regular jail. Either way.
And I don't think they would be in jail for 10 years.
Yeah, I don't either. So Monica says, I'm grateful for where we are now because now we're close. And Amber says they were in prison for 2 years when Puppy moved into her dorm and also got close to her mom. So now we see Puppy calling from prison. So I'm glad they did this because a lot of times we're like, whatever happened to this person? Why don't they like just with Cameron and Eris? Why didn't they tell us more about that? What's Cam doing for his job now? I'd like to know because we know he was like working in a call center. So a lot of times we don't get answers, but here we get Puppy calls from prison.
You cannot have a Amber story without Puppy. You just can't.
And they're like, Puppy, what happened? Why are you there? And she goes, oh, I got arrested for a parole violation, probation. We're not sure. She left the state. She left the state. She got a speeding ticket. And they're like, well, why did you get stopped for that? And she goes, well, I didn't have a driver's license. So
yeah, we saw some of that like on their last season. She kept leaving the state getting speeding tickets. She got arrested during that season for kind of the same thing, and
Yeah.
clearly she did it again.
Yeah, because she all of a sudden she had the eyebrows, all of a sudden she didn't, you know? She says, and get this, I'm in the same dorm as Eric's ex-wife. Puppy goes, oh my God, you're in prison with Eric's wife? So, I mean, Amber wants us to know that that is still Eric's wife. It's not his ex-wife.
Yes.
And then we get the flashback to Eric and Puppy in those ridiculous matching jackets saying that he wants to get a divorce.
I loved Puppy's jacket.
It was just bad.
I know you thought they were god awful. I love them. I love the.
It was too many studs.
Call it the little studs. I loved it.
Too many studs. And the fact that they were matching was, and the fact that
that part wasn't cute.
They weren't even on a motorcycle. They were like in his Hyundai. Like it just made no sense. Not like they were in a motorcycle gang. So Amber tells us she's been out of prison since May of 2019. She says she has no desire to do any drugs. She never wants to go back to that life. She doesn't say anything about the drinking problem.
Because she's about that life.
Closing card. Monica lives in Indiana with Amber's father. They remarried in 2021, which was, remember, we went to that wedding. That was fascinating. Amber lives with her boyfriend, Hank, boyfriend of the week, Hank, and works as a restaurant manager still. So that's good. I guess she's able to work. Monica will be on parole until 2025. So Monica's about to be off parole, and Amber will remain on probation until 2045.
Whew, that's a long time. That's a big commitment.
All right. I'm going to look right now. Difference. And I'm going to print it out.
Parole and probation.
Parole and probation. Okay, here we go.
And when you start reading it, we're going to be like, we knew that.
Yeah. Probation is a sentencing alternative to incarceration where a convicted person remains in the community under supervision, probation.
Okay.
Parole is a conditional release from prison, allowing an individual to serve the remainder of the sentence under the supervision of the community. It sounds like the exact same thing to me.
It does. It reads exactly the same.
Probation. The timing is imposed by a judge at the time of sentencing, often as an alternative to prison or as a condition of a suspended sentence. This is probation. Purpose to allow individuals to remain in the community, supervised by a probation officer, can be ordered for a misdemeanor or a felony. The judge makes the decision to place someone on probation. Parole. Timing, granted after a person has served a portion of their prison sentence. Okay. So maybe that's the difference. You have to go to prison to get parole. But sometimes people go to prison and then they have probation. The purpose of parole is to assist with the transition back into society after incarceration.
Okay.
Supervised by a parole officer. Parole typically applies to felony cases when a person has been sentenced to prison. So maybe parole.
That's what I always thought, was that parole was you had to have committed a felony.
Felony. Okay. And a parole board makes the decision on when to release someone. And parole is intended to assist offenders in returning to society. So a parole board makes the decision to release someone on parole, but a probation, a judge makes a decision to place somebody on probation.
Okay.
Okay. Do we know any more? And will we remember any of this? Probably not.
Between the two of us, we can do this.
But maybe I'm going to print it and I'm going to put it right here, hang it behind my computer. So if we have questions, I'll just read it again. Up again. And then all of the listeners will be screaming. You guys just talked about this last week. Why are you dumb and can't retain this?
They're screaming right now. We're about to get all the DMs and
I know.
All that.
And somebody, we have a couple listeners that have written in and said like, hey, I've been on probation or parole, or I was a parole officer and here's the difference. And they've explained it to us like dummies. And that's what we need.
We just forget.
We just forget.
We remember it. And then like we go to the next show and we're trying to figure out like a fiance visa plan or what, you know what I mean? Like
these things are hard. These things are hard.
It's hard. We're not stupid women.
No, we're not. And we shouldn't have to say that. Okay. And so the announcement is drum roll. I should get a drum roll sound effect. Is Keisha and I are going to cover The Valley. Okay, so The Valley is a show that airs on Bravo. It is the companion show to Vanderpump Rules, which Vanderpump Rules is my first foray ever into reality TV recapping because I had Payne in the Pod where I interviewed podcasters and I talked to a lot of reality TV podcasters. And then I was a guest on this show, Pink Shade, when Aaron was the host and talked about Vanderpump Rules. I always loved Vanderpump Rules. It is my gateway drug into Housewives. I already watched Housewives, but I really got into Housewives more after Vanderpump Rules, and I went back and watched everything. Love Vanderpump Rules. Love that cocaine addict, Jax. Love his steroid rage. I used to be real hot for Jax back in the day, by the way.
Really?
Real hot for Jax, yeah.
Okay.
Back when I still had hormones and stuff, you know?
Gotcha. It makes a difference.
So love Stassi. I don't care. She's a complete bitch. Loved her. So The Valley is the spinoff of that. They're in season 2. Keisha's going to go and watch all of season 1. So she is caught up on these people because it's just a couple of people from Vanderpump on her. Mostly it's all brand new people. And they are super, super, super interesting. They were trying to get this show off the ground for years when a lot of the Vanderpump people got fired or canceled or whatever. All that happened to them. They were trying to get this spinoff. And I was always like, Vanderpump has moved past people working in the restaurant. We need to see them now as they are, like adults, some with kids. Mostly they're influencers, real life. So that's what it's about. And it's about all their real life friends. And it's really good. So The Valley premieres on Tuesday, April 15th. Our episodes will be on Wednesday, April 16th. The first episode will be on the free feed if you're listening on the free feed or if you're listening on ad-free Prime. If you're listening on ad-free Prime, then you're golden because that is where it will live. That's the $10 level Pink Shade Prime, which is Patreon, Supercast, Apple subscriptions for now, maybe soon Spotify, not sure. So that's where it's going to be. Keisha and I are very, very excited. This is our first, we talk about Prisoners, we talked about Love is Blind, but this is our first straight reality show we're going to be covering together.
Because we love shows that have restrictions, a wall, bars.
Yeah, that's right. This show
collects phone calls. Like that is what we do.
These people are walking around freely.
Yeah, this will be new for us. Yes, it's a new thing.
I'm very excited. Keisha's going to cover this with me, guys. I'm very excited. Yay. And I can't wait for you to watch season 1 because you're going to be like, holy shit, this show is so good.
Yeah, because I was just like, oh, is this like you have to have watched Vanderpump Rules to watch this show? But
they flashback enough so that if you're brand new to the Valley and you don't, especially as the Jax and Brittany are from Vanderpump Rules and then Kristen. But Kristen was off Vanderpump Rules for a long time. Okay. And she's crazy Kristen for a reason because she's fucking crazy. Oh, and that's like by crazy. The way, that's why you like her. She's crazy.
Yeah, I like crazy.
Yeah, yes, she got canceled. She got canceled when Stassi got canceled. They got canceled together. We can explain all that on the episode if you want, or we could just move past it like it never happened. Whichever.
So you lead, I follow.
Okay, all right. So everybody, that's the announcement, and also Keisha, on your show, the Libra Lounge with Keisha, you're going to be telling about. Tell them the big thing that happened to you last week that you'll be telling about on your show.
Oh, I did the meet and greet that shows out right now. I did the big meet and greet with Dr. Now. Sit in line. Oh my God.
Tell everybody what show he's from in case they don't know.
Which is so weird to me. I know. Dr. Now from my 600 Pound Life. You guys know I'm a huge fan of his, and we got to meet him. We stood in line for like 5 hours, but
that's crazy that people were standing in line to meet him for that long. That is
there
nuts.
Were people from other states who were there to meet him.
And yes, is he selling a book? What was this?
You could buy a book and get it signed, or you could buy a magnet. Like it was to go and meet him. And when I tell you that,
was it at a bookstore?
It was at his office.
What?
Yeah, it was at his office. Like the event
was like, I thought, so sorry. Wait. I thought he was like on a tour selling a book and like you stood in line at like a Barnes and Noble to do a meet and greet to meet him. And he was going to this was at his office?
This was at his actual office, the office that we see on television. It was at that office. And here's the funny thing about it. There wasn't even supposed to be an event. Like we met his daughter because she came out. She was like, I don't know how we're gonna get everybody in to see him. She goes, we weren't even supposed to have an event, but my dad like reposted about our event from last year that was on March 9th. And she goes, by the time I saw it, people were already saying they were coming. So she's like, I gotta create an event.
That
So,
is funny.
she was like, we have to end at 5. He's got a meeting to go to. But when I tell you, he said, I'm not going to stop until I see the very last person. And he did. And we were amongst the very, very last people. Because once we got in there, me and Jay sat our asses down. I'm like, I don't care how many few people go before us. Like, we are sitting down. It was a long day, a very long day. And you have to imagine you're standing in line, you're not eating or drinking anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but it was very well worth it. He's super nice. If you go to my Instagram page or Facebook page, you'll see the pictures from it. It was really cool. So I'm just marking all these people off my bucket list. I met Giselle about a month
Yeah.
ago. I met Maven Huffman last year. So I'm just
Who's
working down
Maven
that
Huff?
list.
Who's Maven Huffman?
He used to be with the WWE.
Okay.
And he
Okay.
is my forever crush. When I
Okay.
say forever crush, I have been crushing on him since before I had Skylar. And Skylar's turning 23 this year.
I didn't know you were into WWE before you met James.
Yeah, like we're not into it now at all. Like he does the local Booker T wrestling thing with my stepson once a month.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I went to like Raw. I used to watch Tough Enough, which is where I met Maven Huffman for the first time. Yeah, I was kind of into it. And then became a mom and wasn't into that shit anymore. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about any of this. Next, you're
Has
going to
so
tell
many
me.
layers.
I know.
Has so
Next, you're
many
going to tell me you're
layers.
into NASCAR or some shit.
I'm not into NASCAR, but next on my list, I have to meet Big Frida, who is the queen of bounce.
I don't know what that is.
And she has her own show, reality TV show called Big Frida, the Queen of Bounce, which is one of the best reality TV shows.
What's
So good.
bounce? Well, what's bounce about? Is it about
Like
strippers?
New Orleans bounce, like they do a lot of twerking, a lot of butt stuff. Like it's a certain type of music called New Orleans bounce music,
Oh,
and
it's
that's what
music.
she
Okay,
does.
because I know you like shows
Yeah.
about strippers and stuff.
Yeah, this is not stripperish. I mean, they do wear like really skimpy clothes, dancers and stuff like that. But one of the best reality TV series that has come on. That series is over now. Now we have Big Frida Means Business, which is the newest series about her becoming an entrepreneur and opening up this new boutique hotel in New Orleans. And she's got like a weed line. She's going to have a cooking wear line, a makeup line. I love Big Frida, the Queen Diva. Best
Okay.
believer. Yeah, those are all her little sayings. And you already know, love Big Frida.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, listen, that's next on your list, huh?
That's next on my list. I'm gonna find her. I'm gonna get her.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Everybody, this is why you should listen to the Libra Lounge with Keisha, because she has a lot of different interests.
Oh, and I also break down Meghan Markle's new show on Netflix.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking about that. I don't hate Meghan Markle. A lot of people do. A lot of people do. I don't hate her at all, but I'm not into those kind of shows where people cook and show you how to be crafty because I don't give a shit. So that show doesn't interest me. If she was doing something interesting to me, I might watch it because I don't mind her. I know you don't like her.
I mind her.
Yeah, you mind her. I know. Well, you're not alone. A lot of people can't stand her. All right, everybody. That's it. Follow Keisha. Listen to her podcast, The Libra Lounge with Keisha, and you can follow her on Instagram at the same place, and also follow me at Pink Shade Pod. I definitely have already figured out a little clip I'm going to be cutting from this episode.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That out.
I can't wait to see. It's always when you guys see it for the first time. That's the first time I'm seeing it too. I'm like, oh shit. What did she use on here? Let's see.
Yeah, guys, just remember, everything's on YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel, and as of this week, now everything is on YouTube. Every time I record with Kimberly, every time I record with Amy, every time I do something for Pink Shade Prime, it's all on YouTube now. We've been told everything has to go on YouTube. That's the wave of the future. That's what we're doing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. I didn't know it either. Okay, so you better get your ass on YouTube, girl.
Okay.
Okay.
I am.
Do you even know?
I think I am.
Okay. Everybody Look at
Yeah.
Keisha. Leave a watch of Keisha on
I
YouTube.
never advertised it though, but yeah.
Okay, well, we just did. We just did.
Yes.
All right, that's it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.